So, Hogan, good to see you again.
Yep, setting my camera. Yes, good to see you.
Never a day goes by in this day and age that there isn't gigantic news, big news. Of course, this was anticipated. Kamala Harris named her running mate today. It's Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota.
The radical governor, yes.
Radical leftist. Everybody thinks, oh, he's jovial. No, he's actually a Marxist, actually. So I am sure that we will touch on all this stuff. We're going to do this on the day of the announcement, so it's nice and timely, because this is the Line Drive Podcast. All right, so here we go. Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, is the running mate for Kamala Harris. And I know there's always interest in who people are going to pick for their running mates. There was interest a few weeks back when President Trump picked J.D. Vance. To me, it seems like there is heightened interest, even greater interest around this VP pick for Kamala Harris. And it was really watched with great intensity, probably because there was some drama involving Jeff Shapiro, and we'll get all into that, why he wasn't picked. But I get the impression, people always say that the vice president pick is supposed to bring something to the ticket that you don't have. And it's important for someone who has not been president like Kamala Harris, and as she's introducing herself and her ticket mate to everybody. I feel like this VP pick is actually more consequential for her because so many people are unsure about whether she's even up to the job. So her VP pick is being extra scrutinized. Am I wrong about that? Like, she actually really needs somebody who's solid, and she did not get that.
Well, you're assuming she needs someone who's solid because she's going to face scrutiny from the press.
Well,
which
that's
she
true.
hasn't and won't.
Right.
But I get your point. I don't know that it adds anything to her at all. In fact,
no.
I would argue.
We talked about this earlier today.
Yeah. They're one and the same. Also, they're separated by 7 months in age. They're the same exact age.
Oh, is that right?
One of them looks like a granddad,
Yeah.
And Kamala Harris doesn't.
Right.
So
she's 59 and he is 60.
I know it's silly. It's the aesthetics. But, as I think about how we got to this point and with all the stuff the Democrats are doing, I think what you're picking up on here is this was her first big decision. She didn't go through a primary process. She didn't have to make decisions about campaigns or surrogates or policy, right? They just gave her this. So this is the first big decision she had. And it's a reminder of not just how bad she is at speaking, as we all know, off prompter, she is a disaster, a train wreck. But we also realize she's not good at politics either. This was a bad choice for her politically. Now, by all reporting, personally, it was a good pick because they're kindred spirits. They like each other. You want someone you can get along with. You spend a lot of time with your vice president. Politically, dumb. She had a chance to basically wipe Pennsylvania off the map with a governor who was at 61% and didn't take him. And we can argue all of the points as to why. But a big part of that was in the jockeying that occurs for VP. We saw it on our side. When you had a long list of folks, the knives came out. Each camp was trying to, shiv the other person in the media to show you the fatal flaws of that person. There was a big fatal flaw for Shapiro. He's Jewish.
Yeah, there was.
He's Jewish. That's the flaw that the Democrat Party can't wrap its arms around because they have an anti-Semite problem in their party. And had they picked Shapiro, Chicago could have burned to the ground for their convention. So
it would have if their convention. But there's still a possibility for that to happen because I'll bet you they give Josh Shapiro a speaking role at the Democratic National Convention. But when we were talking earlier today, and
hold on one second.
What?
I was on a panel recently where they were talking about the killing of the 2 Hamas leaders by Israel. And they asked the guy what he thought about those killings. He said, well, the Democrat Party just lost 2 of its primetime speakers for their convention.
That's really funny because without question, there is a pro-Hamas wing of the Democratic Party. I don't know what the percentage is, but it's significant. It's significant. I mean, heck, you had White House staffers walking out of the job to protest the administration's policy towards Israel, which was not very pro-Israel, by the way. It was
Right.
just a smidgen pro-Israel, like maybe for half an afternoon one day, and that was enough for the leftists. So, I mean, gosh, of course, there's a streak of anti-Semitism very wide that runs through the entire Democratic Party. But as we were just saying before, is that usually in history, you're supposed to bring a vice presidential pick is supposed to bring something to the ticket that the top of the ticket doesn't have in herself. And so, like if you think about it from that angle, politically, as you just said, this pick doesn't make any sense because Shapiro, as you mentioned, he's got an approval rating in Pennsylvania in the 60s. When people say, okay, what does a VP candidate bring to the table? Well, Josh Shapiro brings Pennsylvania to the table. Theoretically. But as you just mentioned, he's Jewish. And so there's no way that Kamala Harris could pick him over the objections of the radical pro-Hamas wing of her party. No way. So and we'll go through about what a radical leftist he is. Kamala Harris, this makes no sense for the following reason. Kamala Harris has been, since she became the nominee about 3 weeks ago, whatever it's been,
17 days,
systematically jettisoning and getting rid of, or lying to people, saying, oh, I've changed my position on all these key issues, right? All these key issues. She's just completely flipped. She hasn't actually changed her position. She's lying because now she's in an election and she needs to have those positions be reversed. She doesn't really actually change her position. She's lying about it. Not only that, she did it through staff. Staff announced through selected leaks to certain media that she had reversed her position. So she's been spending weeks trying to get rid of all of these leftist positions that she's taken over the course of her career. But picking Walz reinforces all those things that she's just trying to escape. So, in fact, if she's trying to scramble away from all of her leftist positions, Walz drags her right back again and reaffirms all of the things that she's trying to hide from the American people right now. So, in that way, maybe he makes her feel comfortable. And she doesn't have to go through the hassle of having, 40% of her party freak out over her VP pick. But she's been dragged right back to her starting place, and she's a confirmed leftist all over again.
It shows you she never intended to change those positions. And you hit on something that's important for listeners and viewers to understand. She's held these positions, and I hate when people say 3 years ago when she ran for president, she said all these crazy things. This is 3 weeks ago. She has never said she changed any of those positions up until 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And she's trying to leak it out, as you said, through surrogates. Nothing on the record from a surrogate, nothing on the record from her, because, of course, they'll never ask her any questions. So the thought is, if she was really moderating, she would pick someone like Shapiro, who, by the way, isn't really a moderate, but the media would say he's a moderate. He's moderate compared to, several, to Walz for sure. So you would think she would say, all right, exclamation point on all these little things you're hearing in the news out there. I really am moderating. Here's Shapiro. Instead, I'm moderating. Now I'm going back to here's Tim Walz as my
Now here's this crazy
partner in crime here. It's insane to watch.
People on the left, and I don't know who would disagree with this, who listen in this audience, but people might say, why does it matter that staff is the one who announced her change in position instead of her? I'll tell you why. For me, from a communications perspective, why it's important. One, she's not on the record with whatever this new position that she claims to have is. Sure. And in order for that to be an actual established position to even remotely discuss, she's got to be on the record saying it, right? That's in my view, especially since you've radically departed from what you used to believe. But the point is, I want to hear her. Let's take the issue of fracking. She now says that she no longer supports a ban on fracking, which is the withdrawing of natural gas from the earth through fracturing the minerals that are underneath there to free the gas. That's what the process is. She says she has always supported a ban. Now she says she doesn't. I want to hear her articulate why she now supports fracking. I don't think she's capable of expressing a pro-fracking opinion. Yet that is what
fracking is.
No, her campaign now claims that she is no longer anti-fracking. I want to hear Kamala Harris explain how she is pro-fracking and why.
Agreed.
Because I don't think she can do it. Even if she does know what it means, what it actually means, and what the process is, to have held for so long a position against something that is a very actually hot emotional issue for some people, the issue of fracking. I want to hear her express the side that she has never believed in before, and let's see how believable it is. And let's have her explain that to the people of Pennsylvania who work in that industry, 100,000 of them.
Right.
Let's hear her explain.
And as I said, she's more radical than Joe Biden. She's less likable than Joe Biden. Obviously, Governor Walz is going to go on this attack dog thing. He's going to be the one out there saying all the things. I listened to his speech tonight as well and picked up on a lot of things he said. Kind of blew my mind. I still don't understand how Kamala Harris goes out there in this tonight, the acceptance speech where she was unveiling Tim Walz. I don't understand how she says about she talks about the economy, and we don't need an economy that's just about getting by. We need an economy that's about getting ahead. Oh, if only you'd held the position of power from which to do anything about these things, right? So clearly it's her fault, so she can't really talk about it too much. But then Walz went on several things, and he said, Trump wants to gut Social Security and Medicare. No, he doesn't. In fact, he said we're not going to touch it. And you know he's not, because he was already president and he didn't touch it.
That's right.
He says he wants a national ban on abortion. That's exactly the opposite of what he said. In fact, he lets the people decide for the first time in 50 years, not some judges at a national level. Your local states get to figure this out. So that's not true. I mean, a lot of things he said. And then he goes, we demand safe neighborhoods. And I was like, safe neighborhoods? You let your state burn to the ground because the BLM rioters praised them. And then Kamala Harris raised money to get the people who burned the businesses down out of jail. Like, what are you talking about?
I have a bunch of clips here, and you just brought up the BLM riots. Here's a good one. Here he is talking about, this is Governor Tim Walz of the great state of Minnesota, expressing his clear view that society, that's you and me, Hogan, and you, Mr. and Mrs. America, and the world here. Society is to blame for the BLM riots that cost billions of dollars in property damage, lives, in the summer of 2020 in his city of Minneapolis. Here he is. Society is to blame for the BLM riots.
Sure. A society that does not put equity and inclusion at the center of it is certainly going to eventually come to the places where we're at. This is a moment of inflection. It's a moment of real change. It's a moment that those folks who are out there demanding this are not going to take a commission or a report. They're going to want fundamental change. And that is what I think, that's one of the exciting things in the midst of all this. You can feel a sense of optimism coming back.
He says that government has got to do exactly what the rioters want, right? And this is an opportunity, and he's excited about it. This is a guy he was the governor of the state, and he is proclaiming that the official policy of the state of Minnesota is to bend over and take it when people riot and burn your cities to the ground, and you just do what they want. And he's excited for the opportunity. And then he comes today, and you're saying I didn't get the chance to watch the speech. I apologize. But now he's saying that we want safe communities. But also, and this is his approach to a riot that burned a city to the ground.
Did I miss it in that clip when he said it would lead to fundamental change? Did he ever say what the change was?
Well, no, but I think what they were talking about, you can infer that he was talking about law enforcement and loosening, policing.
You mean the change, like there used to be a police precinct right there, and then it's burned to the ground? That's the change, the fundamental change he was talking about?
That would be a fundamental change, if you ask me, yeah.
This guy has so many radical positions.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just like Kamala. So there's no difference between the two. There's not a dime's bit of difference. And so that's interesting. But it's incumbent now upon the campaign, people like you and me, to have these conversations when we're on television with the people, et cetera, about what this means to America. And so when Walz and Kamala Harris say our side's weird, okay, I guess it's weird to have a southern border that doesn't have tens of millions of people pouring across it, right? I guess it's weird to say men shouldn't compete in women's sports, I guess. I guess it's weird to have a nuclear family. I mean, just
Right.
it's so easy to lean into that messaging because they're so out of the mainstream. They live online, and that's a problem. And I hope it gets exposed in the next 90 days because this is a sprint.
Yeah, let me on there. This is you're right. You mentioned the weird stuff, the word weird that was a fad there for a few days last week. Here's Josh Shapiro tonight, the day that he did not get picked, the day that, and this is what I tweeted about this earlier about Josh Shapiro. Every time Kamala Harris and or Tim Walz go campaign in Pennsylvania, all of the voters of Pennsylvania will know that they didn't pick Josh Shapiro because he's Jewish. And Josh Shapiro will know that he didn't get picked because he's Jewish. And so here he is tonight up on stage, again, suffering humiliation at the hands of Kamala Harris. And here he is giving a speech that is really just a personification of that weirdo meme that you were just talking about. Here he is.
And Donald Trump, well, he's now got a partner with him. Y'all see that guy? Yeah. J.D. Vance. He's not exactly off to a good start. I think we can all agree on it. But I think part of the reason why he's not off to a good start is this, and it's serious. He doesn't know who he is. And he's not being honest with himself, so he can't be honest with the American people. He can't.
It's I don't know why. Here, this is actually, I don't know if it occurs to him while he's standing there, is that he's attacking the guy who did get picked, and he's the guy who didn't get picked. And I think it's the statement that he put out today where he's talking about, oh, I have all this work to do. I have a special, I'm a Pennsylvania native, so this one, Josh Shapiro kind of bugs me. And I have work to do for the people of Pennsylvania. I mean, you could just feel the sads coming off the printed page.
Feels. Yeah,
the feels. Yeah, but anyway.
Also, his affect is so mimicking Obama.
Yeah, it is.
Like it's so pandering,
Mm-hmm. And but he's not. I've ran against him. I had a candidate in the governor's race in 2022 in the Republican primary. Didn't get through the primary, but Shapiro, I think this is a guy who has great ambition. There's a story that's out there that says that a Fox reporter, Jackie Heinrich, reported it, that sources told her that they did not pick Shapiro because there was a video that got posted to social media really briefly last week. And I think it was the mayor of Philadelphia who did a little video that said there was like she was pretending to introduce Josh Shapiro as the vice president selection. Right. And so the story that was leaked to Jackie Heinrich at Fox News was that really rubbed Harris the wrong way. And when that came out, that pretty much closed the door on Shapiro. And they were afraid that his ambition was too much and he would attempt to overshadow and care more about himself than he would about the top of the ticket. They floated that out there for the Fox audience and Jackie reported it, but I don't buy that. That's just a smokescreen. That's just so they don't have to admit that they have a giant anti-Semitism problem in their party.
It's true. He wasn't picked because he is Jewish. And by the way, he's kind of like, he keeps kosher and stuff too. Like he's not just.
He's an observant. He's
an observant Jew. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Where, Kamala's husband, who is Jewish, puts out statements about different Jewish holidays and incorrectly says what they're about all the time. Like he has no idea whatsoever. It's a problem in that party. They're not going to address it. And this pick right here, I would imagine as this stuff kind of begins to permeate out that it is offensive to the Jewish population in this country. Now, whether they end up voting the opposite way or not, we'll wait and see. But it's still going to come back to the bread and butter issues where both Kamala Harris and Governor Walz have failed their people time and time again. And, honestly, where Kamala Harris is in her radical beliefs, radical policies, dangerous, destructive ideology, Tim Walz in a lot of ways is the manifestation of what she wants. He did these things in Minnesota.
He's got like baby California that he's running in Minnesota.
Absolutely. And so this little aw shucks Midwestern football coach mentality, I wonder, like they talked about him being a teacher, and I wonder, about teacher, they went through some of his history on the
Job
on the
studies.
stage tonight. Yeah, his bio. And so he was a football coach. I wonder if he would let women play on that team. Right. I wonder if he'd let his football players, when he was go play on the girls' different teams. Right.
Right.
If he taught, he was a resource. What they call him?
Just be crushing girls on the volleyball court.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They said he had all kinds of like he was some kind of resource officer in the school or some other kind of thing, and a faculty advisor, a hall monitor. And I'm like, I wonder if they had mandates then for having tampons in men's bathrums,
right?
Because he signed in the law, right?
I
wonder if they had the law signed where if as a faculty advisor, if a 14-year-old kid who had a bad week decided they were going to transition it to another gender, and it was okay to not tell your parents, but if they found out and they wouldn't let you, then you would go after the parents and put them in jail. Like, he is a radical's radical to the nth degree, with open borders and defund the police, no more energy exploration, et cetera. I mean, that's who he is.
Oh yeah.
And I cannot wait for them to have this conversation, because Kamala Harris and Tim Walz had the exact same policies. The reason she picked him is because he was able to enact all the policies she wants.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. She admires all that. And here's another issue. I think you might as well. Can we call him Midwest Mao, as in Chairman Mao, Midwest, or Mao of the Midwest? How's that?
That's good.
Here he is professing his love, absolute love. He might even use that word. We'll see. His absolute love for China.
We've been focusing on, and I lived in China, and as I said, I've been there about 30 times, but if someone tells you they're an expert on China, they're probably not telling you the truth, because it's a complex country. But it's critically important for us. I don't fall into the category that China necessarily needs to be an adversarial relationship. I totally disagree.
Yeah, well, so there's no reason for us to be adversarial or even be on guard with China. They're wonderful people. Do you know he got married in China? He loves China so much that he went there to get married. He loves China the way Bernie Sanders loves the Soviet.
Yeah. It's like an SAT question. The Bernie is to Russia as Tim Walz is to
right.
Name
a communist
Russia
country.
is to Bernie,
right,
as China is to
Name an authoritarian. There you go. Authoritarian communist regime. And I mean, he is Bernie Sanders. He is in politically and everything else. Just like, and Kamala Harris, she was, when she was rated the most liberal senator in the United States Senate in 2019, she was further to the left than Bernie. So all these folks fit right in. And boy, AOC is happy as can be with this pick. And so, if AOC is on board, then the United States of America had better look out.
Hey, also, as we were talking about the Jewish piece of this, even Democrats, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, said basically over the weekend, of all the people in this race for VP, why is the Jewish person getting the increased scrutiny? Jared Moskowitz said, he's being held to a different standard than the rest of the candidates. Austin Claus from Massachusetts basically said something similar. Like, they're going to have to figure out why they're attacking this guy versus all the other. And it's very telling on themselves. So, like, even within their party, you're having top Democrats pointing to the fact there's an issue. But again, I still think it comes back to the policies, the everyday policies people care about. And it's time to really put this around their campaign as kind of being pillars and platforms. And so Tim's going to go out there and put on this little shtick where he's just a regular dude. But when you start to see, what he really feels in some of these private settings, you're going to understand just how radical. I will say, though, I cannot wait either for the stories to come out, because we're hearing now, some of the news reports are that Biden is all of a sudden like realizing he's not on the ticket. He's really angry for being pushed out. I'm sure you probably saw some of the Nancy stuff. He's angry about it and wants back in. Like, he's very angry. You know, the Kamala Harris people don't like Biden's people and vice versa.
Yeah.
None of them like Obama.
Right. But now they're all together. All of them are all together in that campaign headquarters.
I
Obama
can't
people,
wait
Biden
to see
people,
some
and
things
Harris
start
people.
trickling out. The first day they face any scrutiny, if they ever do from the press, I can't wait to watch that fall apart.
Yeah. Well, when things turn south for them and they start to argue about strategy and whatever, there'll be leaks about how, we're, these idiots over here are pulling us in the wrong direction. The messaging is wrong. The ads are terrible, blah, blah, blah. But,
Right. All right.
Whatever else.
Candidate is bad. She doesn't prepare. All the things
Yeah.
we've heard before.
Oh, yeah. People will start complaining about the candidate.
That's coming for sure. They always blame the messengers, Tim. We know that good and well.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. And if you're a pro, you take it, right?
That's right.
That's right. So you have said a number of times that they are one and the same, opposite sides of the same coin, or however you want to put it. Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, simpatico on all these hot button issues, even though she's lying and saying that she doesn't agree with those things anymore, but she does. And her ticket mate does too. Here is a little clip with the two of them, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, side by side on the issue of sanctuary cities. I'll save you the trouble. They both support sanctuary cities.
What is your position on San Francisco as a sanctuary city? I support our sanctuary law.
Should Minnesota be a sanctuary state?
If the definition of that is that the federal government enforces immigration law and local law enforcement enforces local law, then yes.
Should cities be allowed to be sanctuary cities?
Yes.
Yes, that's unequivocal. That's an old clip from Harris, but
Same thing.
Yep, same thing. Support sanctuary cities, and that means bad news for safety in communities. It means bad news if you care about terrorists coming over the border. It means bad news if you care about illegal drugs coming in, opiates coming over the border, and fentanyl. The whole bit. It's bad news everywhere, and places like Minnesota, as a sanctuary state filled with sanctuary cities, throwing their arms open and saying, "Hey, come on in. We don't care if you break the law." And they view, I swear, they view the United States government, the federal government, and specifically immigration enforcement, as the enemy. They truly do. They strike an adversarial pose against the government of the United States in favor of people who have broken the law to set foot in this country in the first place. It is, and it is astounding. The Democrats remain on the wrong side of it. They give it lip service when they have to, when it becomes a political problem, and then they lie about the fact that they got us into the mess in the first place. He said when talking one time, Tim Walz said when talking about Trump's border wall, he said, "You show me a border wall and let me invest in a ladder company. How you tell me how tall I need to make the ladder so people can climb over them, and I'll invest in that ladder company." The guy thinks it's a joke. He thinks that border security is a joke. And God knows Kamala Harris doesn't want to be bothered by it, because she was, in fact, the border czar, despite her efforts to get out from under that one. And she clearly has been terrible at that job as well.
They both want people flooding into this country illegally so they can get on the government dime and eventually vote for them in perpetuity. It's all about political power. And hey, they got to break a few eggs. A few folks have to get shot, stabbed, raped, burglarized, assaulted, whatever. It's fine. As long as they have political power. That's their mentality and their thought process. I mean, for a governor to say, like Tim Walz, to say, listen, what I want is I want free health care for people in this country illegally. What I want is free tuition for college for people in this country illegally. What about our own citizens?
Yeah, how do you justify that? How can anyone justify giving these things for free? College tuition, free, not in-state tuition rates, not a reduced rate because you might be living in Minnesota. Free. Because of their status as illegal aliens. That is the only reason why he's giving these things, is because they're illegally present. How do you possibly justify that when we have homeless veterans living all over the place in every city in this country? You're giving free.
It's infuriating. Didn't you have a clip though too? We're going to play it. Wasn't he complicit in the cover up about Joe Biden basically saying, "Hey, listen here. Behind the scenes, Joe Biden is so mentally competent, so physically outstanding. He can do this job, right?" And now all of a sudden, he's not standing there with Joe Biden. He's standing there with Kamala Harris, which is also kind of funny.
Yeah, so this clip is, you're right, he was part of the cover-up, and he was part of the attempt to lie to the American people and tell the American people that the president of the United States was up to the job and that there was nothing wrong with him at all. And he took part in this lie. This is post-debate. So this is after the Trump-Biden debate, when the whole world saw what a mess Joe Biden was. And this is before, so it's between the debate and when Joe Biden was actually forced out. Here it is. And he's at the White House having just met with Joe Biden. So he saw the guy in person.
Is he fit for office? Do you think he's fit for office?
Yes, fit for office. The president has 3.5 years of delivering for us, going through what we've all been through. None of us are denying. Thursday night was a bad performance. It was a bad hit, if you will, on that. But it doesn't impact what I believe. He's delivering.
There you go. Fit for office. Hey, he just had a bad night.
Delivering, baby.
Part of the lie. Part of the lie. He knew it to be a lie.
The
just
mailman.
like Kamala Harris knew it to be a lie. Heck, Kamala Harris worked with the guy every single day. And, of course she knew.
Yeah.
The guy, it's really, to me, it's an inexplicable pick. It really is.
Well, it's not it is politically for you and me,
right?
But it's not when you consider this is who Kamala Harris is. Tim Walz is literally the manifestation of all of her bad policies that she wants to implement on the American people. I saw even in Minnesota, I think Governor Noem did something about this today, the governor of South Dakota put out a tweet. The people in the legislature put forth a bill in Minnesota where they wanted to take like the bottom 3 or 4 counties and annex them and attach them to South Dakota because they didn't like the government of Minnesota that much.
Wow.
And I was thinking to myself, you're not really going anywhere much warmer, right? Like if you want to annex somewhere where like Florida or something, right? They're like,
well, I don't know if you know how this works. You don't get to just, transport the entire county.
Yeah. They're just like, screw it. We want to be part of South Dakota. It just kind of cracked me up. But it also shows you the difference in Republican governance, where she's done a great job there. Yeah,
that's true.
Number one, the top economy, and people were leaving there because of COVID mandates. And also people have been leaving Minnesota for a while, but that COVID stuff, trampling on Minnesotans' rights.
Yeah. How about
really
setting up
the fleeing that state like California?
He set up a whistleblower's line for you to be able to squeal on your neighbors if they were violating his COVID restrictions.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. Go turn your neighbors in.
That's
really how to build a community and make friends. My God.
This reaction I think is good because it happened today. What we're talking about obviously is timely, but also just breaking down. You're going to hear more and see more from Walz over the next little bit. But I don't want to take our eyes off the prize here, and that's the presidency of the United States, and our opponent's Kamala Harris, not Tim Walz.
Yeah, that's right.
But Kamala, you said this. Everyone knows this. You can't really win the White House necessarily with a VP pick, but you can lose it. You don't want to spend time trying to fix your running mate's mistakes. And if we can expose this, she's never going to have to defend it because she agrees with it. She embraces all these policies. I think that's something we can keep pointing out.
Yeah, I think it's important that you say that he is right now. He's the shiny object. He's the new thing. It's very easy to attack his record, all the crazy things that he has said, and all the stuff that he has said. And to his credit, I guess he's unapologetic about these things. These are things he's not going to try to run away from this record, right? This is who he is.
He'll embrace it.
At least he's honest about it, but that just makes him a stationary target on the issue. Harris, you have to, work at it a little bit because she is trying to change who she is. Yeah. Like she always does. More to come. I know you've had a busy day. I know you got lots of TV hits under your belt from today because when something like this happens, everybody wants to talk to you. That's really great. Good for you. And anything else you want to add? I think we could probably wrap this.
I don't know. I think
he is, after all, only the VP selection. We don't need to devote that much time.
Yeah. Today's been a long week,
as they say.
This week's been a long month. I think, this is the fight, and we have 90 days to make it happen for our side, to expose the radical nature of the left and the policies, honestly, that have already been proven failures. They've already proven to hurt the American people. So all we got to do is just remind them of that fact and get them out to vote. And I think we'll be in good shape.
That's it. You know how many days are left? Is it still 90 some? Or are we under 90?
I think it's still 90 something, but I don't know how many there are.
All right. Well, long way to go. I remember in 2020 we had with that countdown clock up on the wall, and when it got below 100 days, that's a big milestone, of course, but I still was thinking, man, that's still 3 months.
Yeah, I know.
It's a long time. Ooh-wee.
Just
Anyhow,
think, as hot as this is right now, we will already be into the college football season, close to it being to a close, and it will be cold in many places in the country too.
yeah, I think it's almost exactly 1 month from now. I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan. The Eagles open up their season of the game against, I think, the Green Bay Packers, but it's in Brazil. And
That's
I think
stupid.
Yeah, I think that it is 1 month from today, or approximately 1 month.
There you go.
Yeah, how about that? Football season is coming. Life can't be all that bad when football season comes. So for Hogan Gidley and Sonny Nelson, who I think one day we will see again, I'm Tim Murtaugh. This has been the Line Drive Podcast.